Hello, world and Goalball family, and welcome to our second episode of Quiet Please, the first and only, until now, talk show entirely dedicated to Goalball. This is an event powered by ECA, the European Goalball Club Association, and is co hosted by this marvelous joint venture between Portugal and Lithuania. I am Pedro from Lisbon, and with me, always the fantastic Vilma from Vilnius. After we started this series of conversations with Erki Minala in the first episode, today we have another special surprise for you. Next Monday, June the 1st, it's Children's Day, at least in Portugal and Lithuania, as in many other countries in the world, because the actual date is November the 20th, like in the United Kingdom. It was signed the Universal Declaration of Children's Rights. So we decided to focus our conversation today with someone that has recognized work in this area, young players, that starts from the basis of the sport and cares about the future of it. Faye Dale is the Great Britain head coach and Goalball UK national talent lead, and she's been working with blind and visually impaired people since 2009. She's also has some interest stories to tell us about an organization in the UK that works with guide dogs. Now it's Goalball that's in the center of her sport life, or maybe not. Thank you, Faye, for being with us today. Stay tuned, and remember, you can always follow us on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, or listen to our episodes in the usual podcast platforms such as Spotify, iTunes, or Google Podcast. Don't forget to visit our website to check the master classes currently running, namely the next one on June the 6th, which is about precisely the future of Goalball. So, quiet please, your play, Vilma.
Quiet, please.
Hello, Faye. I know that you have a very well developed and interesting system in goalball. I've never seen it in any other country. Can you tell us more about it? At how many levels do you play goalball in UK?
Firstly, hi Pedro, hi Vilma. Thanks for having me on your second episode. In the UK, we're really fortunate that we've got a national governing body of sport system. So each sport has their own governing body that looks after the sport and in effect are the gatekeepers of the sport. So football will have their own, cricket have their own. For our instance, it's Goalball. So we have Goalball UK that looks after every level of our sport. So it could be we call it grassroots. So that is everybody and anybody that wants to play sport, whether that's really competitively within our national domestic leagues, or whether they just want to come along and play for social and fun and just make some new friends, then that's there as well. We then have our talent system and then our GB programs, so our high performance programs at the top of it. So yeah, we're very fortunate compared to some countries.
So do you call those leagues like novice, intermediate, and elite, or is it correct?
Yeah, we've got three levels. So novice would be beginners or players that are happy competing and taking it seriously, but not too seriously as well. We have a mixture of ages, so that could be the younger ones coming through, or it could be people that are just enjoying playing and might be a little bit older. We've then got intermediates. So the intermediates will play slightly longer games. So they'll play 6 or 8 minute halves, depending on how many teams we have within that particular competition. They will range from kind of young people to getting slightly older, but it'll be people that are trying to get better at the sport and maybe want to go into our next level, our next tier, which is our elite. So elite is made up of previous Great Britain players, current Great Britain players, incredibly experienced players that again are just playing because they enjoy the sport and they get a lot of benefits mentally and physically from it. Our elite level plays the full 24 minutes of IPSA rules, which is really good for us. And that tier as well has gone from, say, 5 club teams to, I think we have 10 now. Some clubs will put in 2 teams, which is great because it shows their club is developing. But for us, it's strengthening our highest level of goalball, which is just incredible.
That was exactly our second question. How many goalballs clubs do you have in the UK, and how many teams, and actually how many players do you have?
Yeah, so we've got 35 clubs based around the United Kingdom. It's hard to say how many teams because each club is different. So one club could have just a novice team. One club could have a novice and intermediate team. One club could have 3 intermediate teams, and then some clubs have got novice, intermediate, elite, and 2 teams at each. So it just depends what their club is and how established, and the funding that they can get as well. As a ballpark figure, we've probably got about 800 people playing goalball at them three different levels.
800.
800, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's divided in all country, or do you have specific regions that play goalball?
Because it's so big, we've had to break it into regions, and some regions will have a bigger club and then smaller clubs, or lots of small clubs that make up that region. So we have to really look at how many people or how many teams clubs think that they can put into our league structure. So it's quite complicated when we're looking at it, because we don't want people to travel too far, because we're looking at quite a lot of independent travel, so people using trains, buses, so they need to be able to get there. You've then got the financial side of it as well. Financially, can people afford to get train tickets, or because some people will play in novice and intermediate, or they'll play in intermediate and elite, which for me, like, that's quite an expensive hobby for some people. So.
I heard that you also modify rules a little bit for different leagues, and that you have some kind of evaluation in order for a player to be able to move from intermediate to elite, or how do you evaluate that?
Yeah, so we've adapted the rules for novice, intermediate, and elite to almost reflect what we want from that level. So an example would be at novice, for a team penalty, the other coach could choose someone off the opponent's team. We didn't want the same person to be picked every single time, because they're deemed maybe not the best player, or they're trying to put pressure on a certain person to be able to then get a goal out of them, which is what they obviously want. But we didn't feel that was something that is providing a positive experience for that young person or whoever it is. So there's a system where it will change every time. So it could be left wing, and then it will be centre, and then it will be right wing.
The referee chooses.
Yeah, and then
really. And that I heard that you have more warnings instead of penalties. Like if somebody touch eye sheets, it's like you're not so strict, or no?
Yeah, because not everyone knows all the rules. I don't think I know all the rules yet.
Oh, really?
That's why I've got Alex. Alex is the rule master.
Alex knows the rules. Okay.
But we try at that level to provide a positive experience. So if it's someone's first tournament and they touch their shades, but they're doing it just because the hair's in the way, or they've just not thought, we will try and educate them before we penalise them. As they start going from novice to intermediate, we can't do that anymore. We have to be fair, because people are expected to know the rules to a certain level, and we still will help, but if there's a penalty for eye shades, there is a penalty for eye shades.
Yes.
And the coaches as well, the level of coaching has got higher, so people know if someone touches their eye shades, that should be a penalty. So we've got to play fair by everyone. At elite, you if you touch your eye shades, that's it. If you're as a coach, if you're not in your team bench area, you will get penalised for it. If there's a noise penalty, it will be a noise penalty. It's the rules as much as we can.
Yes. So your job is you oversee the national school program, yeah? And your job is to actually look for children, for potential athletes. You said that now you have 800 players. It's a lot. We have 20 in Lithuania.
Both you've got 20 very good players.
Yeah, and so how did the participation rate change since you started in 2013, and how do you actually manage to attract more potential athletes?
Yeah, so it's slightly changed now. Actually, we've got a new member of staff, Stephen Newey. He's our national schools officer. Previously, we would all chip in and help out to visit schools and to put on more junior days, whereas now that's Stephen's role to do it. So he is working in schools to identify someone with sight loss that we can then invite to a club or invite to a talent opportunity. He's now worked with, what number did he give the other day? Something like 300 people, young people that have sight loss over the past 2 years, which for us means that we can bring more young people through the system.
300 potential young athletes. 300.
Yeah, they're not all athletes by any means.
Yeah,
but the pool of players potentially is that big.
And say which ages are we talking about here? When we say young athletes, which ages?
A mixture. So
between
8. Some of them could be 8 years old that are just starting to even know what goalball is. Going through to 16, 18 years old. Mm-hmm. So and Goalball UK as well. And the work that the clubs are doing. We've got all of our clubs are phenomenal, but some of them are really good at getting junior players in. And
what is their secret? Do you know?
So just some incredible people working really hard to provide an opportunity for young people and their families as well. So it's not just about playing goalball; it's everything else that they get. So although we're the national governing body and we want more people playing goalball, more people being competitive, more people coming through our player pathways, we also want them to have a great time, to meet new friends, for them to have a support network, and for the families to have a support network as well. We hear quite a lot that you have a family with with a young person that's got sight loss, but they don't know anybody else that's got sight loss, and so they don't know how to necessarily deal with it. So it's a really good place for them to just talk to each other.
So that's what you say to those young people: come and have fun and meet all other people with sight problems. And what do you promise them? What motivates them?
Exactly that we call it the Goalball family, and it's a little bit cheesy. We know it's very cheesy, but it literally does what it says on the tin. So you come into a club and you're part of that family straight away in that club. You go to a Goalball UK tournament and everybody talks to you, whether that's because they bumped into you, and then they start chatting. They then might go to a talent opportunity with us, so they start having residential training camps where they have to get to know each other because we partly make them. We do lots of team building activities for them to start getting to know each other and gain confidence and independent skills, and obviously playing goalball and enjoying goalball, but there's a lot more that they can get out of the sport. My role, so I've said about Stevens within the schools, and then Goalball UK within finding young players. But my role is then to almost try and transform them into not necessarily athletes that are ready to play in IPSA sanctioned events, but young people that are ready to go into a structure that you have to be on time, you have to have your water bottles, you need to know the game to a certain level and the rules. You need a certain level of fitness. So it's my job to build that up, and we call that our talent pathway. So I've been probably in charge of it for 3 years now. Last year, so 2019, was incredible, and mainly because IPSA put on some youth events. Great, keep doing it, IPSA. That's what we want, because there's not enough events for youth around the world, unless you can afford to go to here, there and everywhere, taking your athletes to non-sanctioned events. So last year we had the under-19 World Championships in Australia, where we took a female team, and then we had I always get this wrong, but European Para Youth Games in Finland for the under-23s. So we took a men's team to Finland, to Pajalati. So that for us gives us a carrot to be able to say, if you want to play goalball and you're in this age group, you potentially could be on a flight to go and represent Great Britain. So people want their young people to be part of it. The young person themselves wants to be part of it and wants to be selected. So for both squads, we left people at home because we didn't have enough money to either take them or there wasn't enough seats on the plane, in effect, because you can only take six athletes. So that was really good. And now we're seeing the athletes that went to them championships coming into our senior squads, which is really, really good to see. So my job now is to find the next layer or the next group of young people to come into our talent pathway. So we've just got another, well, not another, but a funding bid for a 2-year project to work with 20 12 to 16-year-olds. And the idea with that, and Pedro, I'm going to say fun again. We want them to have fun playing goalball, enjoy it. But we want to work with them for 2 years so that they have a great program. That yes, they're going to learn how to play goalball. They're going to learn what nutrition is. They're going to be asked to go to the gym and do something specific for their age to get them used to it. They need to do performance lifestyle sessions, all these things that come with being an athlete, but fun is at the element of it. And one example would be, we're not going to do a training camp in a sports hall playing goalball, so I don't have to lay a court. Amazing. We're going to take them to do I've laid so many courts in my life. I like it. Too much. My knees can't handle it anymore. But we're gonna take them to an outdoor adventure place. So they're gonna do high ropes and they'll go canoeing and just things for them to have fun together. In the hope that if they do really well and they want to keep playing goalball, that they then go into our talent pathway and then can represent GB at a youth level and then into high performance. So we're creating little steps, which sounds easy, but it's quite hard and quite challenging to do. But the good thing is we've got so many young people that want to play, and now we've got the opportunities for them as well.
That's nice. So your job is to organize team buildings.
Yeah, yeah. For me to have lots of fun.
That sounds nice. But I remember after the Youth World Championship in Hungary, there were coaches who said that, oh, my players, they only cared about playing music in the corridors, hanging out. They didn't care about tomorrow's games. So what about that? You have to have a lot of carrots with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is important, but that for me is importance at the preparation tournaments that you take them to. So they already know that part of goalball is the social aspect that's fun, but when they're at championships, they've been selected because they can do a job. They can still have fun after the games, but they also need to be able to play their best goalball. And I suppose that's part of learning as well. So if they look back on it now, maybe they would say that they could have played better if they'd gone to bed earlier, not stayed up chatting with their friends for forever. And I think the more that they are exposed to competition, the more they start taking it seriously. And I also think if you're losing, you can then go, oh, that's because we did this or we didn't do that. And then they start going, if we do this, maybe we can be 9th, 10th, or 3rd instead of 4th, or 1st instead of 2nd. And it's the coaching staff's job to get them to realise that as well, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. And you need a lot of carrots to dangle.
Yes. I remember Lithuania, you gave interview to Lithuanian radio and they asked you, so what is a good player? What is a good athlete? And can you give us also your answer? What is a good athlete?
In the men's game, you physically need to be fit. You need to have a very good understanding of goalball in terms of what you're trying to do and what the other team are trying to do to you, so you can be responsive. You need to be able to react, not just to the ball. Obviously, that's very important, but react to the situation, which a lot of players and for us, we try to give them as many opportunities to learn how to react to a situation and then to another situation and then to another situation, and how they do that quickly. But it's not always that easy to do it. So back at training, we do a lot of very short, sharp bursts of play going, this is the scenario, what are you going to do? And then we will discuss it afterwards, so that they're learning all the time, rather than them just, you pick a goal ball up, you throw a goal ball, you get the goal ball back. It's not as easy as that. When I first started, I thought that's what goalball was, and I know now that is not. That is not goalball. I also think off court, you've got to be a team player, or if you're not naturally a team player, you have to be able to be within a team. There's so many personalities within squads. Everyone needs to be able to recognise each other's differences and how you can still get along with each other, so that you're the best team, because championships are really long. If you annoy each other, you can tell that on court, and it's not a good place to be. So yeah, someone that can put their own views to the side and be part of a team. I think that's really, really important.
Faye, you are the national talent lead. So yeah. I guess the UK has already a goalball strategy until 2024. What is your aim until there?
Yeah, so we've started a new strategy, which we started in 2019, and the strategy is to transform more people's lives, which we take really, really importantly. Our vision is to transform the lives of blind and partially sighted people through goalball, and then our mission is to be world leading in promoting and providing sporting opportunities for people that are blind and partially sighted, and to make goalball a universally recognised sport. It's one sec, sorry, computer's having a. Oh. Yeah, for us within the UK, if you say goalball to someone, they'll go, goal what? Is that the one that do you kick it? Is it like blind football? No, it's not. It's not anything like blind football. And one of the rules is that you cannot kick it, so it's not blind football. Even I know that. So yeah, we want to give more people opportunity to play at whatever level that they want to play, and then to ensure that Goalball is almost like a household name. And
you never had a game broadcasted on TV?
Not officially. We've done it through Facebook Live and different forms like that. But well, I suppose barring 2012, then there was, in effect, that 2012 got a lot more people knowing about Goalball. But if you're now of the age where you weren't around at 2012, you almost don't know what Goalball is, because it hasn't continued with the momentum. In terms of it being on TV and stuff like that. The momentum within the sport itself has continued. So after 2012, our participation rate went up, 325%, which is just incredible. Hence having 800 people now playing, and that's continuing to rise. But a lot of that is word of mouth. Goalball UK itself has expanded in terms of the amount of staff we've got, so we can have more people going out there and spreading our message. But if we could get it on TV, that would help even more.
Vilma has one more question to you before we finish our first part.
Yeah, so you look to me so creative in, like, for example, fundraising money, or just having really some unique events or initiatives. Like now, my dear colleague Dina Murdy, the referee and my teacher, she had this 26 days rowing challenge in order to fundraise money for Goalball UK. And also you said something about your boss. Can you tell more?
Yeah, so we at Goalball UK, we will try and raise money however we can. So whether that's through a private donor and philanthropist, or whether that's through a funding organisation, so maybe Children in Need, Sport England, worshipful spectacle makers. That there's a lot of organisations out there that will give us chunks of money. We're really fortunate that our Goalball family also wants to be part of our fundraising. So because of COVID-19, the London Marathon was obviously cancelled, postponed till October, I think. So people have put together the idea of a 2.6 challenge. So we've had quite a few people trying to raise money for our organisation. So Dina has done her 26 days of rowing 26 minutes. I did hear today that it's getting a lot harder for her to get off the rower on the floor, and then she's just done so much that she's probably shattered. We've got one young guy who's doing weightlifting, so he's lifting 85 kilos, which is too much for me. We've got one of our talent and GB female players that has ran 26 miles, so a marathon. We've got one lady who plays for one of our London clubs. She's done 26 days of doing 26 different exercises. I did one of them. Well, Goalball UK staff did one with her, and it was hard work, really hard work.
Can we see it somewhere on Facebook?
Yeah, there'll be some pictures of it, definitely. And it was hard, really hard work. We've got a family who collectively was running and walking 26 miles, and then we've got another London club, Croissant Warriors, who are doing a 26-ton squatting challenge. So they're literally, if they're in their families, they're squatting their younger brothers or sisters, lifting them, or they're lifting teddy bears if they're really young. Anything that they can do to do that, and that's just naming a few.
Yes. But does it actually help you to raise money?
Yeah,
Or it's just fun, or it really works?
fun. We love fun.
Yeah.
So we've raised £4,000 at the minute. Some people are still doing their challenges. My boss, we call him the leader, Mark. He wanted to lead from the front, so he's shaved off his hair. He's made a cake for one of our GB men's squad players. He turned 18, so Mark made him a cake. Worst cake I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God.
It's honestly horrendous. And then he's doing a cracker eating challenge against one of our young players. So that will come out. Well, the result will come out on Friday this week, I think, as to who won.
Can you repeat what challenge?
Oh, sorry, cracker eating. So like cracker and cheese.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you have to eat as many crackers without a drink as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that'll be on our Goalball UK Twitter and Facebook on Friday.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Hope they survive.
Nice ideas. Don't go out anywhere. We will be just right back after this short break. So welcome back to our second part, now dedicated to national and global context. And of course, this first question to you, Faye, is that because this world pandemic has corrected or obliged to correct some strategies, UK cancel all tournaments for this season. And how do you still try to keep the goalball community informed, trained, or at shape for case of the athletes?
In terms of our high performance athletes?
Yeah.
So one of our members of staff put this really well today. He said, we've not stopped training, we're just doing it differently. So our men's and women's squads have got a support program that's been put around them, which allows them to still have time with staff. So whether that is regular Zoom meetings, which I feel like I'm doing a lot of at the minute, I'm sure everyone is, but it's just giving our athletes and our staff an opportunity to work on areas that will aid their goalball. So a lot of strength and conditioning, a lot of nutrition advice. We can still give some rehab and recovery. Obviously, we can't tactile do it, but we can still offer advice, and our athletes are responding really well to it. It's probably nice for them to have a little break, because the women's squad especially were just non-stop trying to get that last the spot for Paris. For the men, we were starting to ramp our program up for European Bs, and we wanted to originally stay really well fit and well for whenever we could return to play. Obviously that's not happening now, but the support package is still there. Do we want to be on court? Would we like to be on court? Of course we would, but there's a bigger picture at the minute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And in 2012, London hosted Olympic and Paralympic Games, which was the great event. Did you notice, did it change the perception of goalball? You mentioned something about that, but in general, how did it change the professionalism of the sport? Is it easier to make publicity or?
Yeah, I wasn't part of Goalball UK in 2012, but I did go and watch the women's final, which was amazing. The kind of 2012 rocketed the sport because it was everywhere and Paralympic sport was everywhere. Our athletes suddenly became, in effect, celebrities, which was amazing for them. We as the national governing body seen a very quick rise in our participation rates, which meant that we had a bigger argument with Sport England on funding. So we ended up with more funding to be able to provide opportunities, which was a real stepping stone for us to be able to start developing our sport to where it is now. And Sport England have thankfully continued that funding for the second cycle, so we can keep up what we're doing, which is good. In terms of the public, so I started for Great Britain in 2013. So we get all this really nice kit that we're wearing with Goalball UK and Great Britain on the back. So I would go into driving down to training or tournaments, go into the services, get a cup of tea, and then someone would say, "Oh, Goalball, I know what Goalball is," which is amazing because previously they'd be like, "What's Goalball? What is it? We don't know what it is." And I'd have to get YouTube out and show them it on YouTube. And talk them through it. Whereas now they're like, "Oh yeah, we've seen that at 2012. It was really good, and we know that there's all these clubs in the country, and it was just great to hear that rather than having to explain what Goalball is, which is part of our role. But it would be great for people to just know what it is without us telling them.
Yeah, I know that the BBC had the great campaign Superhumans.
Yeah, I think it was Channel 4, but yeah.
Okay, Channel 4. So it's really worth watching it on YouTube. It's just very inspiring. But so what else were you doing during London 2012? What games did you watch?
So
were
I
you in the Olympic Park?
Yeah, so you get day passes to so you can go to different sports. So we went to blind football, wheelchair rugby, and then goalball as well. So I then was working for My Sight Nottinghamshire, which is a blind society based in the middle of England, pretty much. And we'd got some free tickets, so we basically took a group down to a group of people with sight loss to enjoy the Paralympic Games, which was just phenomenal.
Okay. And I remember in London, the first game was between Great Britain and Lithuania, men's game. So I was watching that game and suddenly I hear everybody started whispering, "She looks stunning, she looks stunning." And I turned around, so Kate Middleton and the Prince Williams were sitting there and watching the games. And the second example, I know that referee Dina Murdy, she was invited to the Royal Palace to drink tea with the Queen. So do you have more examples how a royal family gets to know something about goalball?
Yeah, I think Prince Harry, he went as well. So there's a picture of him with a goalball sat in the crowd. It's a hard question actually, because I wasn't really around. But I'm guessing that off the back of the Paralympics that there was just much more things going on for people to know about the sport, and obviously for the royal family to do the same. We have tried to get goalball into the Invictus Games. So Becky Ashworth has asked Prince Harry if he could do that, but it hasn't happened yet. So.
Okay.
Maybe now it's more difficult, huh?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Faye, your organization is called Goalball UK, but your national team are called Great Britain, not UK. Why there is no goalball in Northern Ireland?
Northern Ireland? There is goalball in Northern Ireland.
Oh.
But so why are you called, why do you always shout, "Go on GB"? You don't shout "Go on UK"?
I think it's only because when the national governing body of sport was put together, they called it Goalball UK because they needed a name, and I think at the time that was the name. As far as I know, through the Great Britain side of it, historically we've always been called Great Britain, so we've just continued with with Great Britain. We could change the Goalball UK name, but I think we quite like it. It incorporates everyone, and I think Great Britain itself, when we're competing, like I'm really proud to wear Great Britain on my back, and I like being called Great Britain. We could be GBR or whatever, but no, Great Britain.
Right. If you have so many clubs, male and female, and athletes practicing goalball, when can we have a Great Britain team on the Super European League?
Well, we were trying to put one in for the last season, but
which one? Can we know it?
Which club?
Yeah.
Oh no, we'd put together a team.
Okay.
To go over, because our clubs, it depends on their financial situation, because it's quite expensive for us to go over. I think it was the 2 tournaments, and then if you were successful, you went to the 3rd. That's a lot of money for people to pay. So for clubs to be able to fund that, they've got to raise £10,000, £15,000, £20,000, which is more than what they would spend on their training and competing in England.
So you are anxious to wait for the Grand Prix competition?
Not necessarily. We could do that, but well, to be honest, I'd quite like both. So I'd like a younger squad within the Grand Prix, and off the episode 1, when I heard that you were putting the Grand Prix together, we straight away were like, actually, that's something that we could get involved in, and it's something from a Goalball UK point of view, and it's something that we can encourage clubs to potentially put teams in. Our clubs go to Malmo every year and have about six teams that go from England to play against other English teams.
It's very nice names of those teams: Cambridge Dongs and the Penn Tigers.
Faye, one of the unavoidable subjects that we have to talk about is Brexit.
Okay.
Have you noticed any difference at your work in goalball at any level after the Brexit, and how do you think it will impact specifically in goalball?
Getting through the airport isn't going to be that easy. We're not looking forward to that at all. I think for us, it's how it affects the pound and the currency. Is it now going to cost us even more money to go to tournaments? We've got really limited budgets, and we try to scrimp and save so that we can go to 3 tournaments rather than just going to 2. So that financially is going to make a big difference for us, and the rest, I guess, we'll just wait and see. But there's not much talk of Brexit at the minute. It's slightly been overshadowed.
It is.
Mm-hmm. You told me once in Sheffield that you have a great system for guided dogs. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I think we were at the Goalball UK office, and there was 4 or 5 guide dogs just in the office, just sleeping on the floor and just having a great day. So we've got guide dogs for the blind, or UK kind of version of it. So they basically train, provide the dogs, pair the dog with a potential owner. They'll pay for the dog throughout its life, and provide any support that the person with sight loss needs. So the person with sight loss doesn't need to pay for the dog. They can make a contribution to the dog if they feel that that's what they want to do. But guide dogs very much are trying to provide kind of the independence that comes with a dog. So in Goalball we've got lots of dogs: Labradors, Retrievers, German Shepherds everywhere. So Vilma, I was quite surprised when you said that that's not the structure that you have.
No, we don't have any guide dogs. So that's why, and in many countries, I think it's very interesting to learn. My son said that he will go to you to be a volunteer and to learn how this foundation works, because they are really successful in raising money to be able to give dogs for free.
Yeah, so they do different schemes. So they don't receive any government funding, as far as I know.
Wow.
It's all fundraised. So you can sponsor a puppy. So you pay so much per month to sponsor, or you sponsor it, and they will give you a little guide dog Teddy. They call them pup dates. So you'll get an update of what your puppy's doing, how they're progressing. You get a certificate to say that you've sponsored the dog, and then I think you get told as well, not necessarily who that dog's paired with, but how their journey is going into being a fully fledged guide dog. There are how many dogs? Probably around 4,000, if not 5,000 dogs within the UK. Wow. Obviously different ages, and some.
But guide dogs?
Yeah, guide dogs.
Oh, perfect.
4,000 guide dogs.
Yeah,
yes.
or maybe 5,000. Can't read my own writing.
So actually, any Goalball player can have a guide dog if they want.
Yeah, they can. They can request to be put on the list, and they have to meet a criteria. They have to be registered as blind or partially sighted to get one. So the 5,000 are guide dog owners, so they're fully fledged guide dogs. You then have the dogs in training. You then have the retired guide dogs. They also do buddy dogs as well now for young people that they potentially in the future might need a guide dog. So they're getting used to having a dog around. Again, having fun with the dog helps them to make new friends. Gives them confidence, makes them potentially more independent, so that they're ready to get a dog when they're old enough to be able to look after the dog properly. So it's incredible, really. They also have a guide dog raffle or lottery, so people can play that, which will obviously bring in quite a lot of capital for them. So yeah, but when you take a little cute puppy to any event, people are going to give you money.
Yeah. That sounds cool. Sponsor a puppy, not like give £200, but sponsor a puppy. It sounds different. Yeah. Wow, thank you. That's very interesting.
So we finish here our second part. We'll be right back for the third and the last part. And welcome back to our third part and last one, exactly, and which is more like an informal one. What about you, Faye? So you have been working with blind and visual impaired people since 2009. How did you learn about goalball? What was your first impression about this sport?
Oh, I knew you'd ask that. So my first real goalball experience was at the 2010 was it World Champs in Sheffield.
Yes.
So we took a group to watch the championships because I don't think it was Goalball UK, or maybe Goalball UK had just started at that point, but they were doing taster sessions, so you could go and try goalball. So we did that, and then we went to watch Great Britain men play against, I can't even remember who it was, and I was sat in the crowd with my headset on because obviously the audio commentary, and I just couldn't understand it. I didn't realise what they were doing. Great Britain were getting absolutely hammered, and I thought the coaches were not helping. They were just, how can you leave your team to just keep getting goals being scored against them and you're not saying anything, you're not doing anything. I didn't know the third time rule.
What is wrong with you?
I had no idea. So I honestly, I thought it was rubbish. And people I work with laugh at me about it, but I honestly thought it was the worst game in the world. So that's not really me being an advocate for the sport. But as I started working, when we set up the Nottingham Club, and then I started doing some work with Great Britain before the European Champs in Worcester, the European Sea Champs, I all of a sudden started going, oh, so they do that, and oh, they weren't allowed to speak, but they can do this, and that player's trying to do that, and that's a really good goal, and that's just a fluke goal, and the intricacies now that when you understand it, it's an amazing game, and you just get addicted, which is what I've done. So I've gone from thinking it's rubbish and hating it to thinking that it's one of the best sports that I've ever had the pleasure of being part of.
But you studied sports development and coaching at university, yeah? But you didn't study anything about goalball, no?
No, there was a disability in sport module that we could take, and I just went, nah. I'm not interested. I don't want to do it. And then I started working with a group called Actionaires. It was a sports group for young people that had sight loss, and I just thought, oh, it would be a great job to do, and I've just been now within sport for people with sight loss and within jobs with people with sight loss for forever now, so kind of built a career on it.
Yeah, never say never. Yeah,
well,
never know
exactly.
how rubbish turns into something.
Yeah, or know what you're on about before you judge it.
Yeah.
That's true. And so Britain has so many outstanding people. I think I remember when Lithuania broke free from Soviet Union and we started developing national sports and goalball. So people from UK were coming to us to teach us like about goalball. It was Dave and Sylvia, Lee, Clive Spencer, and now Dina Murdy and many other nice referees. So whom do you learn from? Who were your mentors? Who taught you about?
My original and still my mentor is Dina. So Dina did my Goalball Leaders Award, so trying to teach me how to be a coach of goalball. So my first real experience. She's now done the refs course with me twice for her sins. So and she's always been there as someone that I can go and ask questions to, or if I don't quite understand how this works within IPSA, or how this format works, or where does Great Britain sit within this. She's a really good sounding block to go to. In terms,
do you still remember the best given advice that they gave to you?
Dina? Oh, I don't actually. There's been so much. She's always there in my ear, saying something. Oh, why don't you try this? Or next time, be a bit louder. Or if you do this, then you'll be able to get to do that, or whatever. So yeah, she's just said loads. And then I think, and we probably don't say it enough to each other, but in terms of our high performance coaching staff, so Alex Bunny, Becky Ashworth, and Aaron Ford, we're all at like the same sort of age. Well, Becky would argue that she's younger. Alex would as well. But we've all like come through the process together, and we've learned quite a lot from each other. We might not always say it, but I've definitely learned a lot off each of them, and hopefully that'll continue as well, as long as we all stay in the game.
So you said it now. They heard you.
Yes, exactly. We just got to watch this now to the end.
Okay, so but do you keep learning as a coach? Do you take some course, or maybe there are other coaches who are role models for you and you really study them?
Yeah, we find it quite hard in the UK to learn new things about goalball, because there isn't, although there's some really knowledgeable people, goalball's changed so much since I was involved, and even the past 2 or 3 years.
In which way do you mean?
From the men's game, the speed of the game, the understanding of the coaches, the level of fitness, just everything. People, what teams are taking the sport more professionally, so you've got to almost stay with them or ahead of them. People are changing stuff, so they're learning new bounce shots, they're learning new techniques in defense. They're using their bench in different ways, rather than just you've got your 3 players and that's it. There's so much more. Performance analysis, I think, is making a big difference. So myself and Alex, who's our GB men's assistant coach, we're always trying to learn the next thing that other countries are doing, so that we can continue that development, and that we've got something to go back to our squads with, rather than just doing the same thing every single time. So some squads for us that we really are watching, Ukraine men. They deserve to be at the Paras from what they've done over the past couple of years. Really great bunch. And the German men as well. Their philosophy, how driven they are, everything's got a meaning. If they throw a ball there, it's because of this. If they throw a ball there, it's because of that. The whole structure is really good. So we've got to find our own way of doing what they're doing, and making it work for us, which has worked sometimes, and then sometimes doesn't work.
So you have been coaching male youth and men's teams, and also club teams, like elite club teams. So what is difference for you?
I've got to remember when to be serious, Faye, and when I don't have to be as serious. So I actually really enjoy coaching club teams, because I don't have to be the person saying you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that. I can just have a little bit more fun with them, and just kind of relax. Whereas when I'm at GB, there's quite a lot of pressure to what's the next drill, how are we going to work with that individual, how are we going to bring the best out of him. So that's quite hard. And the ages as well. If you ask some of the younger players coming through the system, when they're young, and I'm talking even like 16, they think I'm really scary. And if you don't bring your water bottle, Faye's going to be mad. If you're not on time, Faye's going to be mad. Faye's going to do this.
It's called high standards, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. If you get pulled into Faye's office, which is just the corner of the sports hall, you're probably going to be in trouble. So they all get really worried. But the more that they work with me, they're like, actually, you're not that bad. And we're just having a nice chat, and you're trying to make me a better player. And I suppose I can put more trust in people that I've worked with for longer, because I know that they already have these basic principles that are the same standards as what I've got, or what our ethos is within the squad. And I'm very much a coach that I want to work with you, not against you, or make you do something. And I'll find ways of convincing someone that this is the right way. But equally, I'll listen to them that actually, if my way isn't the right way, then if they've got an idea or a solution, then we'll work on it together to find the best outcome.
And related question, what about gender power relationship? Do you notice anything? Because you coach men.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with it, because I've got 9 brothers.
Oh wow, that's cool.
it doesn't really bother me. So,
You're used to it,
So
right?
you know how to talk to them.
yeah, it's not too much of a problem, and I think it's not necessarily whether you're male or female. I think it's whether you've got respect for the person you're speaking to, and they've got respect for you. If you don't have that, that's not, for me, that's not a good place to be in. And in the UK, we're not like military, like you will do this, you have to do that, it's my way or the highway. That's not what we're about. We're advocates of people being independent and taking ownership and having your own thoughts and kind of the freedom of speech and stuff, but you've got to be able to do that in a respectful manner. So yeah, the whole gender side of it, from working with the people I work with, isn't a problem. I think where it was probably hard when I first started coaching was at international competitions, but I don't necessarily think that was the gender. I think it was more, you have to almost prove yourself as a coach, and you have to get some wins under your belt for people to take you seriously and to take Great Britain seriously as well, which I think we definitely now have that. And when you turn up to a competition with your head coach, your assistant coach, and your physio, sometimes a sports psych, and that professionalism is going up, you're always earning respect of other teams because your program looks good, and that's what we want.
Mm-hmm. I remember in 2015 you played in European Championships C in Malmö, and then IPSA president Janne Hammershøi was watching that game as well, and she said, I was interviewing her, and she said, oh, I missed those times when I used to play goalball. We didn't have any budgets. We slept on the floor in the schools, but we had so much fun and such a great goalball games. And it reminded me, I remember you in your team, there were 2 players, I think brothers, and then the gang was going to their house, sleeping on the floor and training together. Do you have more example of this kind of like grassroots things when people just want to play and they don't need budgets?
Yeah, we're still in that sort of position with budgets, but what's happened is our squad size has grown. So when I first started, we were very much sleeping on floors in people's houses. Players would go home if they could, so that we didn't have to pay for more rooms for them. We were making sandwiches for the players for their lunch. Anything that we could do as cheaply as possible. We were beg, borrowing, and stealing hall space. So anyone that would give us a free sports hall, we were trying to go there and do that. We're trying to change the program now so that if we want our players to be more professional, and our staff are being more professional, the program has to be more professional. So we will now spend more money on hotels, but we'll get them as cheaply as possible, so that we can make sure that the players have got the best kind of support network as well. Because if you're sleeping on the floor, it's probably not the best performance environment for you to play your best goalball the next day. But we still will do things as cheaply as possible, but as well as possible. So yeah, that has slightly changed. I think the other side of it as well is we've got more players within the program now. So there's not enough room on the floor, so we have to be in a hotel. So that's a nice problem to have as well.
Faye, tell us a little bit more about you. What do you do in your leisure times? What other sports do you like? Somebody told us that you're still playing cricket. Is that true?
I used to play cricket a lot until goalball took over my life. So I don't.
So now goalball is the center of your sport life.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, not anymore. Not with COVID. Not for the rest of this year.
But it will go over.
Yes, definitely.
It's just temporary.
Yeah. So I did used to play a lot of cricket. So Saturdays and Sundays. So anyone that doesn't know what cricket is, it's like a field game. So you've got a bat, someone bowls a ball at you, and you've got to hit it as hard as you can for as far as you can, or find a gap so that.
But there is also a blind and partially sighted version, isn't it?
Yeah. So they play with a bigger ball. So I think it's a size 5 football with ball bearings in it. That's for the domestic form, and then the international form is the standard size ball, but they bowl it underarm, which is good. It's quite a big sport in the UK, and we've got an England blind cricket team as well that competes internationally.
Perfect.
And we were hoping to see a lovely dog. We heard that he likes online meetings.
He's asleep, but he's a bit lazy.
Oh, but he behaves, yeah? He was very silent during this talk show.
Yeah.
He's used to Zoom. Oh, come here, sister. Here we go. This is Oscar.
Wow. Tell us more about it.
So he is now 3. So it was his birthday on Saturday.
Wow, it's the day when we broadcast this talk show. Happy birthday. What's the name?
He's very stubborn. If he doesn't want to do it, he won't do it. He's only happy when he's out on a walk. If he's inside, he's not loving life. He's very hairy and molts everywhere.
So how much time do you spend walking your dog?
At the minute, probably a couple of hours a day. He's probably bored of me now because I've been in lockdown for 11 weeks. So he's used to having me, and then I'll go to work, and then he's got the house to himself. And then I'll come back, and then I'll walk him and feed him. But yeah, he's a bit fed up with me, so I don't blame him, to be honest.
Will you celebrate the birthday on
Yes.
Saturday?
Yeah. He'll get a treat, or he'll get a walk or something. But they don't know any different, do they?
Gosh, dog.
They don't. But I see you have a great sense of humor. I even noticed that you make jokes with your players on court during the games. Do they teach you at school this British sense of humor, or you practice with your brothers? How come?
I don't think I'm very funny, to be honest. But yeah, I think we in England we call it banter, so sarcasm, banter, and I think sometimes it's just quite nice for someone to have a joke with you. But yeah, maybe it's because of all my brothers. I'm not sure. I think being around sport as well. Generally, people have that camaraderie and banter side of it. But my friends will love it that you just said that I've got humour and banter. They will not agree at all.
And okay, I also have this impression when you won the European Championship C, so you had a big British party in Sweden and Malmö. People were asking, so are you going to the British party? So how do you party?
British party.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think we had a very big party in Portugal as well. I think for me especially, and for the players, when you put so much into your preparation for the championships. I don't tend to drink anything before championships for like 2 or 3 months, because we hope the players aren't doing stuff like that, so we as staff don't really do it either. There's quite a lot of pressure in the lead up to championships, so I think the party, especially when you've done well. So we did really well in Malmo and really well in Portugal. So it's a bit of let your hair down, enjoy the party.
So you play music, because like how I recognize your team, if I hear music, oh, it's British team, because you always take music with you.
And singing very badly as well.
Okay, so no sense of humor, bad singing. Goalball is rubbish. Thank you. Very nice.
And it won't be me and Alex singing either. It'll just be the players. I think our guys really enjoy the music. We've got one guy, Caleb, who is really into his music, so he knows every word to every song. Doesn't matter what song it is or what genre, he knows every single word.
Which number is he? Because I know players by numbers.
Number five.
Number 5 in the national men's team.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope I've got that right. He'll be impressed.
Vilma will be sharp next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Faye, one last question because the time is really running out. Have you heard the first episode with Erki Minala, I guess?
Yes.
And what do you think about this global idea of Goalball TV?
I think it's great and fantastic for you guys to put this together. I don't think there's enough work done between different nations, and when we're at a competition, it's very hard for us to find the time to talk to other people because we're preparing for games or we need to do something, or Vilma, you're refereeing, so it's quite hard, and we're not really allowed to talk to you anyway. So it's quite hard to find that time. But with Icky's your episode 1, it was really good to hear his background and his kind of journey through and how much he looks up to Timo, what Finland are trying to do through COVID as well. A little bit about their story on actually when times got a bit hard for them or when they were really good, because you just don't get that opportunity. So I think it's a really good opportunity for the Goalball family internationally to come together that little bit, and for people to be able to just listen to other people's stories and what they're doing. It's great.
This is actually one of our goals, is to bring us all together, because this is really a big Goalball family and this is worldwide. Yeah. Faye, thank you so much for being accepting our invitation, and we will see you in the next episode 3 of this Quiet Please talk show of Goalball.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for having me.